Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ashley Wilcott.
And I'm Michael Ayala, and we're both here today giving you your front row seat to justice if you are just joining us. Quaneesha Johnson acquitted on the most serious charge.
As to count one, malice, murder, we, the jury, find Quaneesha Johnson not guilty. As to count two, felony murder, we, the jury, find the defendant, Quaneesha Johnson, guilty of voluntary manslaughter. As to count three, aggravated assault, family violence, we, the jury, find the defendant, Quaneesha Johnson, guilty. As to count four, aggravated assault, family violence, we, the jury, find the defendant, Quaneesha Johnson, guilty. As to count five, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, we, the jury, find defendant, Quaneesha Johnson, guilty. As to count six, cruelty to children in the third degree, we, the jury, find the defendant, Quaneesha Johnson, guilty. As to count seven, cruelty to children in the third degree, we, the jury, find the defendant, Quaneesha Johnson, guilty.
Thank you. And is that signed and dated by you as the foreperson?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
All right, let's bring in now our Court TV legal correspondent, Julia Janae, joining us live. You were in the courtroom. I saw you on the screen as they were reading this verdict. The floor person, Madam Floor Person, read the verdict. 6 guilties. I am itching to know, Julia, how this jury was acting, reacting as these guilty verdicts were read.
Right, Judge Ashley, it was a moment inside of that courtroom. You saw the families on both sides reacting to this emotionally. And right now with me, we have the defense team that represented Quaneesha Johnson. We have Michael Sterling, a familiar face to our Court TV viewers, but also his co-counsel, William Treadwell here. Michael, your reaction to this verdict?
Well, it's a mixed reaction, right? There's obviously disappointment because I really, truly believed in Ms. Johnson's innocence. But at the same time, I understand what she just escaped, which is in Georgia, felony murder, malice murder carries a minimum of life in prison, a maximum of life in prison without parole. And with the life with parole, you have to do 30 before you're eligible. So I know what she just walked away from when the jury found the lesser included of manslaughter, along with the other along with the other charges. So Ms. Johnson goes from possibly spending 30 years in jail to the opportunity now for us to argue all of the things we argued in court and have her sentence mitigated significantly, potentially as low as probation.
And we know that sentencing, Judge Moore said Monday morning. She wants everyone to be ready. William, there was this bit of controversy today over this missing witness. You all were trying very hard to find her. What was the prospect during these deliberations if you all were able to locate that witness?
In terms of prospecting, we were trying to present evidence that we knew would help our client's position. However, we were not able to get in contact with the witness in terms of to get her into the courtroom. So it's tough.
Would that be an appealable issue at all?
It's possible. I've already talked to the prosecutors about, let's negotiate over the weekend as it relates to sentencing and some of the potential issues for appeal and motions for new trial. There may be an opportunity for us to come to some sort of negotiated agreement with sentencing. So that's something that will be on the table. So I'll be talking to Mr. Shaw over the weekend and see if we can't come to, some potential, use that as an opportunity to negotiate on behalf of our client when it comes to sentencing.
I know the judge said that you all could talk to this jury once they were done. You don't have to tell us the answers if you can't, but can you tell us what you were interested in learning from them?
Yeah, I would wanted to know, what the thought process was. Why did you all think that the aggravated assault family violence? Why did you all think that she actually assaulted and didn't defend herself? I'd be interested in knowing what was the key piece of evidence you were listening to when you listened to her statement, when you asked to see the body cam. What were you actually listening for? What were you looking for? What was the discussion in the back? Those are some of the things I'd like to know, Julie.
Yeah, anything surprise you? Because it seemed like this jury had a lot of questions.
They did. I knew when they came back with the last question, me and Mr. Treadwell knew that when they came back with the last question about witness that they were close to a verdict, because I knew that they had gotten to the child cruelty charge and they were trying to figure out if the child didn't see the incident happen upstairs because they were downstairs, could they have witnessed it by hearing it? And that was sort of where we knew that they were going. And I said they're probably close if they've gotten down to charges 6 and 7.
Taking it seriously. Last question for you, Attorney Treadwell. The family, they were there in the courtroom, so supportive of Quaneesha, aunts, mother, children. Can you talk about what they're going through? We hope we're going to get to maybe speak to at least one of them after they're able to take a
Well, I think just the emotions of the trial in general. I mean, just to see your family member going through this situation, it's already a terrible situation. And then to potentially have life in prison, but then having it mitigated down to a voluntary manslaughter via the verdict, I don't think they even completely understood the ramifications of what the jury actually decided. But, it's always heart-wrenching. It's a heart-pulling situation. I mean, some man ended up losing his life, and we've got a job to do as well as the jury and as well as the state.
Absolutely. We saw that sadness on the face of his family on the other side of this courtroom. Michael Sterling, William Treadwell, thank you so much for your time and sharing that with us. I'll send things back to you all in the studio.
Yeah, Julia, it sounds to me like they're proclaiming some sort of partial victory. Clearly, what the judge and I were wondering here, and I want to get your thoughts because I know you're an attorney, we talk about this stuff all the time. They seem to have found her guilty on the aggravated assault in the family violence, but not the felony murder, which to me doesn't seem to line up. So it speaks to me like certainly a compromised verdict, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Just from what we observed of this jury when they were coming into the courtroom, when they were taking the break for lunch, you seem to see opposite sides, some separation. They seem to even have trouble coming up with what the note would say. There were several times they came in and out of the courtroom and needed to go back into the deliberation room to narrow down what they wanted and came back in. And for lunchtime, we saw them all kind of disperse. They didn't say, let's all go eat together. There were 3 who went, it seemed, together, were talking and laughing. Others who went by themselves. So it seemed that there were some separate sides, very clear sides in this case. And that could very well be that there was a compromise in this case. It seems like they may not have understood felony murder, which lay people, sometimes it is a difficult concept of understanding that if that underlying felony happened and there was a homicide, then you can get to felony murder. But the defense obviously very pleased with it not being murder in this case, but rather the lesser included, which carries anywhere from probation 1 year to up to 20 years.
And let's talk about the sentencing, because we mentioned that this judge was ready to go. Are you ready to start with sentencing? And clearly defense said, no, thank you. We need a little bit of time. So the sentencing is scheduled for Monday. The judge has a lot of discretion, 1 year to 20, plus on the other counts, Michael mentioned consecutive, concurrent, gets to make all those decisions. Do you have any indication of whether or not a pre-sentencing report has already been done, who the witnesses might be? Was there any more information about that?
I won't say it took these attorneys off guard, but I do think this is a very quick turnaround. We're talking about 4 o'clock on a Friday. If you have to contact even any business offices Monday morning at 8, you're not going to be able to get them between now and the weekend. So Judge Morris has been very conscientious of time in this case. She has wanted to use every hour to the best of her ability, doesn't want to waste any time. So it doesn't surprise me that she wanted to do sentencing this early, but you didn't hear on the record who witnesses may be for either side, but both agreed that they would be ready to go forward on Monday. So I have no doubt that they will be ready and likely have already prepared what was going to be happening during the sentencing, but probably have to make some calls, Judge Ashley, to make sure that everyone will be in place that early on a Monday.
Yeah, it sounds like Michael Sterling was very confident that he and the prosecutor in this case might be able to work something out before sentencing, though they may not have to go through the whole thing. But quickly, I wanted to ask, because I know you touched on this a couple of times during the trial, for the victim in this case, were there any supporters for him at all during the trial or today?
There were. He had a significant presence there. He had an entire, I know we've had video of the gallery of his family, Demonte Smith's family, that were seated there most days of this trial, namely his mother. She was seated there every day that I was inside of the courtroom. I noticed her there. Also, he had two other female relatives or friends who were there sitting in between them. And then the ex-girlfriend, Heather Stone, who took the stand as the first witness out the gate for the state. She testified that he was a good person, that he was never violent towards her, and she was the one that he was trying to come see, reportedly, after this fight with Quaneesha, that he had called an Uber or asked her to Uber him from Quaneesha's location to her. The state felt it was strong enough to start their case with it, and she was there every day of this trial as well. They were showing a lot of emotion when this verdict came down. Even during the closing arguments, you saw that emotion, and we did ask them if they wanted to say anything following this verdict. So we'll see if now that a verdict has come down, if they are willing to say anything on behalf of Demonte.
All right, Julia Janae, thank you so much. I know that you'll continue, if there's any other news or any other people you're able to talk with there, you'll continue to bring that to us here at Court TV. We want to welcome our guest for this hour, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Marie Pereira. We always love having you on, Marie, and today's a really good day for this because I want to hear your reaction. I think legally it's true. Could have been felony murder, a much different sentencing guideline for that. What are your thoughts?
I'm happy with the outcome for her, but I really feel that the jurors could have come up with a not guilty verdict, because I think that she really feared him, and I think that she acted in self-defense. I think the fact that she called the police so many times and actually had to go flag down the police shows her state of mind. And at the end of the day, self-defense is a defense that focuses on the state of mind of the person who is allegedly being attacked. What do they perceive? And since less than maybe 2 weeks prior, he grabbed her, slammed her to the floor, and basically assaulted her, even though she didn't call the police, didn't mean it didn't happen. I think they got it wrong. Although I respect the verdict, I think this woman was a battered person, okay? And I think she was defending herself against potential violence that she had been subjected to in the past. That's what I feel. The verdict was not on point for me.
All right, Maria, I'll push back on a couple things. Number one, there wasn't a lot of testimony regarding her being battered. There was that one incident that the jury heard about as far as over a course of time. We didn't hear any testimony to that, and I think there was a lot of testimony that suggested she did not seem to be in fear, that she was antagonizing. She was even an aggressor at certain points during their argument outside. So I think those things worked against her, but here's what I'm going to ask you. Obvious to me, and I'll get your opinion on this, whether this was a compromise verdict. The same factors that you mentioned, I think led to this compromise verdict. Could it mean what will it mean for the sentencing? Because we know the judge has a wide sentence here. It sounds like she can go from probation to 20 years. Certainly she'll be taking in factors that she heard during the trial as well. Do you think that those factors that led to a compromise verdict could also lead to a sentence that is on the lower side?
I hope so, and I hope that the judge uses her judiciary discretion to look at the totality of the circumstances, to look at all the evidence that was presented before her and use those facts as mitigators in favor of a lower end sentence for her, because at the end of the day, she has small children and she was a victim. Even though she didn't go to the police and they didn't put on testimonies to show that he was a serial batterer, we could say at least on one occasion he did that, and he was comfortable enough on the phone with her family on the line to say, I'm going to beat you to the point that, you know, I'm going to beat you like a opposite retaliatory gang member. To me, that's enough.
And I think that she walked back to her car to get the tire iron and the gun. I still think that's something that must have played in the jurors' minds. Also want to mention the reality of she has no criminal history. The judge does have a lot of latitude in the sentencing, but they might reach an agreement. I don't think they will. I think the state's going to want much longer than the defense is going to want, but they have that opportunity to see if they can reach an agreement as to this sentence.